With everything going on in the world, people need to be uplifted. They need something that promotes character, creativity, confidence, and joy. The GRN show is not just an average talk show. The topics are powerful and will make you think. Join me on this journey to be informed, to relate, to connect, and to evolve. Good evening and welcome. My name is Ruiz-Nicolas, and I will be your host for the GRN show. As you know, we are approaching the general election. It's in less than 3 weeks. And I wondered how much people knew about their candidates and, most importantly, how they affect their day-to-day life. I took a very brief survey among colleagues and friends to see how much they knew about the Department of Agriculture. And I must say, they struggle to really identify the responsibilities and the duties of the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture. Now, as you know, some states, the governor appoints the commissioner. But in our state, we have the ability to make our choices as to whom we want to serve as the Commissioner of Agriculture. And I have with me, guess who? The only Democratic candidate for the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture, Naomi Esther Blemur. Naomi, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Gittel, for having me. I would like to say hello to all of those who are tuned in and are watching. My name is Naomi Esther Blemur, and I'm looking forward to becoming your next Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services.
Yay, yay. And I have to, it takes a lot of courage to really put yourself out there, Naomi, and particular for see that not many people in the Haitian culture truly understand the function. So before we begin officially with the questions, tell me a little bit about what are the responsibilities of the Commissioner of Agriculture?
Thank you for that question, Gittel. Well, first and foremost, the Commissioner of Agriculture operates a budget of $1.9 billion. The commissioner oversees about 3,600 employees and is responsible for about 19 departments, or what you can call offices. Those departments are inclusive of energy, the quality of the water that we are drinking, food inspection and control. The commissioner is also responsible for the concealed weapon license department. So every person wanting to carry a weapon in the state of Florida has to get a license, and we have about 2.4 million people in our state right now that has the license. The commission is also responsible for all nonprofits in the state of Florida, all mechanic and body shops, all telemarketing companies, all private security firms and investigative firms. For all those that have children in the public school system, the commissioner is responsible for the free breakfast and lunch that our children are getting. For those who are consumers, which includes 100% of us, the commissioner is responsible to ensure that as we consume, as we purchase, as we get into contracts with companies and organizations, that our rights are not violated. So consumer protection. This department is the clearinghouse, right, for all consumer complaints. And so the commissioner can actually defend you in a situation where you consume something and someone violated your rights. And that also includes landlord and tenant, which is extremely important because a lot of us as individuals who are renters, we find that we may have situations that take place with our landlord and tenant and we have nowhere to go. Also, I would like to share with you that the commissioner is also responsible to ensure that you are not taking advantage at the gas pumps. This is why if you go to the gas pump right now, you will see the current commissioner's seal is on the gas pump. They're responsible to checking them and to ensure that if you pay $20 for 89, that's exactly what you get, and no one takes advantage of you. Also, the commissioner has a role on the cabinet, right? So the state of Florida is run by 4 individuals who are independently elected, as Gittel stated. You have the governor of the state, you have the CFO, who's responsible for the finances of the state, you have the attorney general, who is the attorney for the people, and you have the Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And so that forms a cabinet for the state. And the commissioner has 1 vote on the clemency board and also sits over several statewide agencies like the DMV, like the Veterans Affairs, like the trust that is responsible for land in the entire state. So it is wide, it is vast, and last but not least, the commissioner is responsible for agriculture, all the farmers, all the farm workers, which is now a $100 billion industry and the 2nd largest economic driver in the state. Gittel, I hope that this gives everyone a broad overview of the role of the Commissioner of Agriculture.
Thank you for being so thorough. And I'll have to confess, I've learned quite a bit in the very brief moment that you've talked about the function. So when you look at it, the Commission of Agriculture really impacts so much of what we do, whether it's gas, whether it's food, whether it's, if we have a complaint as a consumer, whether it is our safety with gun control. I think that is a huge responsibility, which leads me to the next question, Naomi. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why are you running for the Commissioner of Agriculture position?
Great question, Gittel. So I was born here in Miami, raised in Brooklyn, New York. I went to elementary school there. I went to junior high school, and college in New York. I come from very humble beginnings. I lost my father when I was 16. I lost my mother when I was 18. At the age of 21, I took on the responsibility of raising my 3 younger siblings. And I did so with the understanding that if God allowed us to lose our parents so early, and I was legally out of age to assume that responsibility, then I should. And I did. And by God's grace, they have become phenomenal adults. The eldest is a former assistant principal for a national charter school. The middle child just graduated from law school, and the baby of the family, who was born with Down syndrome, is still in our care as adults. Now, Gittel, when I took on the responsibility to raise my siblings, I understood that their success was dependent upon my success. And I invested in my education. I studied business in the European Union and France. I studied international marketing and management in Spain. I studied language and culture in Italy. Here in the United States, I got a degree in accounting. Currently, I am a candidate for a master's in public administration. And as a minister, I've been a licensed minister since 2008. For the body of work that I have done in the last some 13 years, last year, I received an honorary doctorate from Florida Theological Seminary for the body of work that I have contributed to spiritual maturation, spiritual education, and within the community at large. A lot of the people who are watching now, they know me for Balancing Life, where I'll talk about how to balance your finances, how to balance your emotion, how to balance your education, and how to balance your spirituality. Now, I did not wait until I ran for office to serve. I currently serve as a commissioner on the Planning Commission in my city. I'm also the elected vice chair for the Commission for Women, and I sit on the CRA Community Redevelopment Advisory Board as a small business owner. And also, I am an elected committee woman within the Democratic Party for Miami-Dade District 15. And so throughout the last 2 years, I would say, as an elected member of the Democratic Party, I began to look at the positions. I began to look at how one gets elected statewide at every level,
Mhm.
from the state all the way down to local governments. And then the opportunity arose when the current commissioner, Nikki Fried, decided to run for governor. The state of Florida requires you to vacate in order to run. And so I
Mhm.
understood that she had to leave this position. And I looked at the individual who was registered to run at that time. And I assessed that this was not the best candidate for us and our party to retain a seat that a woman took in 2018.
2018, correct.
And she took the seat after 20 years of Republican leadership.
Wow.
So that's 2 decades of Republicans leading in the seat. She took it. I felt we had a responsibility to retain it. Last but not least, Cattell, I looked at the history. In the 1800s, when the Constitution of the state of Florida was being established, it was not called Commission of Agriculture. It was called Commission of Immigration.
Interesting. I did not know that.
The 4th largest, most powerful person in the state of Florida was called Commissioner of Immigration.
Isn't that something?
Yes, it is. Why is that? Because agriculture is a $100 billion industry. It is the 2nd largest economic driver behind tourism. There is no other industry that brings us more money than this seat. And so what does that mean? That means that the state has been built on the back of immigrants.
Mm.
And so in this for this particular seat, I said, pourquoi pas?
Why not? Right.
Why should we not have an immigrant or a granddaughter of immigrant? My grandmother, when she came here in the 1980s, Gatel, needed to make a living. And she needed a way to ultimately get her papers and become a US citizen. And she found that living in Immokalee, picking tomatoes. Ça nous travail dans jardin comme haïtien.
Oui.
So my grandmother worked in Immokalee in the farms for 10 years, never having proper health care, never having a pension, but the ability to own a farm. Although in Haiti, we're farmers, right? We come from Leogane. And so I came to the realization that my grandmother thought she was just here to make a living. And she was here to ultimately get her papers and become a US citizen and earn the American dream, but not so. My grandmother was sowing a seed, Gatel, and that seed has—
That is correct.
The woman that I am today. And I am the first woman of color, not only Haitian, the first woman of color and the first Haitian American to file for the seat, qualify, and win the nomination. And not only win the nomination, but win the nomination with 50.4% of the votes. Some 698,000, close to 700,000 Democrats voted for me to ensure that I represent you in Tallahassee.
That is great. It's like you come full circle. Like you said, your grandmother planted the seed. She really kind of somehow paved the way, because I'm sure at the dinner table, you kind of hear what's going on with the farmers over there. So, and also I want to mention that, in Haiti, they called it agronome. The agronome, they were the people who were responsible. It was a career, actually. You will find a lot of agronome. They're the one who were responsible for growing the what we ate in Haiti, for ensuring they are managing whatever farms they are in the capital, mostly in the provinces. So it's a profession of great status in Haiti. So you will find a lot of people, particularly my dad's generation, a lot of them were, I had a couple of uncles who were Aguna. So we're going to take a short break and we will be right back. This is very interesting, Naomi. So we'll be right back.
Plenty of job openings these days, but there are very few callings. Your community's youngest children need you. Apply for a career in childcare today.
Log on to childcarecareers.org to learn more.
I'm an advocate, small business owner, precinct committee woman, and a mom. Our community needs a servant leader that will amplify all voices. On November 8th, I humbly ask for your vote for Fort Lauderdale City Commission, District 3. Political advertisement paid for and approved by Yvette DuBose, nonpartisan for Fort Lauderdale City Commission, District 3.
Who are the black folk? What's going on? What happened to Daddy? Let me get my phone. I'm gonna call the ambulance. Hey. I'm just gonna stick. I already don't do that. Brother don't do that. Daddy, why can't we call the ambulance? You didn't have to tell me this. When was that you said to my property, la mine there, et la mine quand il said don't fit it feet. He said next thing.
Regardez, nous toutes besoin d'accident. C'est ça, nous même quand nous commençons à plein dans l'âge. Parce que nous commençons à entrer, et l'hôpital, mais hôtel, l'émergency, nous avons besoin d'aide. Et ça me dit nous, amis nous avons balancé assurance. C'est même pour aider parce qu'il y a aidé aux jeunes, bon assurance, qui aidé. Bon médicament, n'importe son besoin. Et puis, souvent déjà, réveillez parce que il y a un bénéfice, assurance pas jour, 1857, 727, 65, 40. Au regardez 941, 210, 99, 98. Je parle tout langue, je parle créole, je parle français, je parle anglais, je parle espagnol. Balancé assurance. Dieu maman junior voyou.
We are back with our guest, candidate Naomi Esther Blemur. She is running for Commissioner of Agriculture. And I have to tell you, the short time she's been here, she really dissected a little bit of the history, a little bit about the responsibilities. But one of the things I've learned that I was not aware of is that the Commissioner of Agriculture is also responsible for gun safety, would I say? So my question to you is, as long as I can remember, and I did Leadership Broward in 1998, and I remember one of the issues we took on was gun safety, gun control. And from 1998 to now, I have to tell you, it continues to be an issue. In fact, it's gotten worse because of the mass murders and shootings that we've seen throughout the country. So to our candidate, tell us about gun safety, since it is a function under the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture. What do you see for the future of gun safety? How can we solve this issue or ameliorate it, make it better?
Great question, Gittel. Well, first and foremost, I want to let you know that I am 100% for the Second Amendment. And I do believe that anyone who desires to bear arms should have the right to do so. With that said, I do believe that we should keep the NRA out of our politics. We should ensure that there is a complete vetting process for every single Floridian who wants to carry a gun. And that vetting process should not be influenced by any one organization or any one a party, right? We should ensure that we are looking for specific things when we're vetting to ensure that this person understands their responsibility towards the entire 22 million residents of the state of Florida as someone who carries a weapon. We need to ensure that this person not only understands their responsibility as their individual, but that they assess who they live with. Because they should also be held responsible for where they keep the gun, where they keep the bullets, and how they communicate or educate those that they live with to ensure that we do not have situations that are happening all across our country where individuals are walking into schools,
or
supermarkets,
churches for that matter.
churches, and opening fire. And so I believe, Gatel, it's common sense policies that we can put in place. Although I will not be a legislator, as Commissioner of Agriculture, I am not a legislator. I am a member of the executive branch. And so I will be able to do three things. I will be able to manage resources. I am a regulator for the businesses that fall under this commissioner's purview, including the industry of agriculture. And then I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for every and anything that is going to cause us to live a more prosperous, safe, and vibrant life here in the state of Florida. And with that said, I am going to ensure that I present common sense gun safety rules and policies that will cause us to be more at peace. Even as a mother, when we send our children to school, we should not worry whether or not they're going to come home that afternoon.
Well, as a follow-up question, obviously, universal background check is one of the key in establishing gun control measures. Is that something that is under your purview, or do the legislators propose that policy?
So currently, I will manage what is already on the books. And currently, the Department of Agriculture has a vetting process in place that the current commissioner has done a wonderful job in ensuring that every single person that applies for the license gets vetted. And if they qualify, they get their license quickly. If they do not qualify, they receive a disqualification letter and they do not receive the license. Prior to her, there was some 200 plus applications that went unvetted and got their license without any check whatsoever. Okay, that is unacceptable. And under my watch, we will always ensure that we tighten the processes within that department, because ultimately it will keep us and our children safe.
Super, super. Now, it was interesting. We were hit by one of the worst disasters here in South Florida. And, I kind of follow I've been following what you do for the community, as well as your campaign, because this particular seat is of great interest to me. And I have to say, I admire the fact that you took the time to really go to the different cities and regions that were impacted by Hurricane Ian. How do you think the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services can help the most in situations like that?
Thank you, Gital. And so, yes, I postponed regular campaign activities for about 8 days. I visited Collier County, which consists of the city of Naples, which was hit. I visited Lee County, which consists of Fort Myers, which was one of the most devastated counties. They're calling this their Katrina. I also visited Orange County, which consists of Orlando. And what I can say, based on what I saw in Immokalee, in Fort Myers, in Naples, Black and brown folks in this state are being overlooked. Period. Full stop. When there is a disaster like Hurricane Ian, and we have lost everything, literally, people's bedroom sets are on their lawns. Their children's bicycles are on their lawns. Their entire closet are on their lawns. Their refrigerators, their stoves, are on their lawns. You walk into a home that is bare with air beds in the middle of a bedroom. that you can already smell the mildew and the mold that is about to permeate through that house. And they tell you not one official has stopped on their block. Not one media outlet has come to see about them. You clearly understand that we are not only underserved, we are overlooked, and we are seen as less than.
We're neglected. We're neglected. They're focusing on the affluent communities, those who live on the beach, those who can just have the money to go to the hotel, not realizing there are people who cannot do that. And, you know, I was thinking, I had an interview with Ruiz-Nicolas, who's the founder of the United Haitian Chamber of Commerce. We were talking about that, and he says, in the Haitian community, it's even worse, simply because you have people who are undocumented. Even if they need help, they're not coming out for help. So it's a real problem. And I think when situations like this come out, we have to look at people from the standpoint of they're humans. Forget about the status. They need care. They need help. Whether or not they're documented or undocumented, we've got to be able to help them. So it's something we need to look at, you know, and it's something perhaps the legislators need to really see, how can we ensure we're protecting our immigrants? You know, they will become American. Many of them will become American. So they're the new American, and with their children, they will be, you know, the future of America. So we've got to look at that. So.
And also, Gatel, something that I would like to highlight, this is why it's so important to have diversity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who is informing the governor about minority communities? Who does he have in his cabinet to ensure that when he is disseminating information, that there is a Spanish translator, that there is a Creole translator, who is there to do that job? And the reality of it is studies have shown over and over and over again, until you find or you place someone in that role that is connected with that community, that understands the community, you will never truly have an open door policy or have an environment where that community is consistently included. And we've seen that throughout Hurricane Ian. There were no translations.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
And one of the videos I will share with you, where I was speaking to a Hispanic lady who had 5 kids. And she told me that the reason she did not evacuate is because her son is the one who translates information for her. And the son said to her that it was going to be bad, but she didn't understand how bad it was going to be. A lot of our communities are dependent upon the younger children telling us what the news is saying. And how do we depend on a child to convey a catastrophic event that is coming, like a Hurricane Ian, that the waters were literally up to their necks and at one point above their rooftop, that some of them needed small boats and to swim out to leave the house? That is unacceptable. And while I understand that the governor is human, just like everybody else, I'm sure he's overwhelmed, but he does have a responsibility to ensure that he places or he puts together an administration that looks like the state. So these things do not happen.
That is correct. You know, when you think about inclusion, it has to be intentional, simply because if your background does not allow you to relate to the plight of others who are different, then no matter how much you try, it will not happen. So it is important to be intentional, to ensure that you have, you know, even the alerts. I think even we were getting a lot of alerts before Ian, and I remember one night I could not sleep. The alerts were coming on my phone, the television. It's important to have it in many languages. So I don't know what happened over there, but you are certainly correct. We have to look at these things.
I'm
So
going to tell you what happened. They did not consider us. That's what happened.
wow.
They
Well,
did-
hopefully that will change.
yes.
Hopefully that will change. Hopefully
did-
you'll be elected and that will change.
Yes, they did not consider non-English speakers. And that has to change in the state of Florida, where the second largest ethnic group are Haitian Americans.
Oh, wow. That's true. And I know you're very busy. I'm going to ask you one last question, and really, I'd like to know what are your last words you'd like to leave our viewers with.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Gatel, for this great opportunity to connect with voters, to connect with residents, to connect with individuals that right now they're asking themselves, what is Florida going to become? If you are concerned about a loaf of bread being $4.50, I am your candidate. If right now you are looking for a 2-bedroom apartment and you can't find one within or below $2,000, I am your candidate. If you are sick and tired of the divisiveness within parties as well as against other parties, I am your candidate. It is my desire to serve all 22 million residents of this state without prejudice. I will ensure that we communicate effectively to every single group in the state to allow them to feel included, part of, to see and hear from them, so that when decisions are being made, they are considered at every level. I have 4 priorities. Number 1, I want to ensure every child in the public school system has a nutritional breakfast and lunch. Number 2, the concealed weapons license department, we need to keep it independent. Number 3, I want to ensure that Black and brown folks have access to the hemp economy, which is now $4 billion. Last but not least, for every family that desires to, I want to educate you and give you the seed to plant your own fruits and vegetables right in your backyard. If anything like COVID was to ever happen again, and essential workers could not go to work at Publix and Winn-Dixie, I do not want not one family in this state to go to bed without, or one child to go to bed hungry. I want you to become self-sustainable. My name is Naomi Esther Blemur. I am your Democratic nominee for Florida Commissioner of Agriculture and the best choice for this seat. I will be the person that holds the governor, whether it be Democrat or Republican, to be at the focus, or to have the focus of the people, and to ensure that we build a life here in Florida that works for everybody. Thank you. On November 8th, please vote Naomi Esther Blemur.
Candidate Blemur, I can thank you enough for you to take this time at such a critical time of your campaign to educate us a little bit on this topic. And I wish you all the best. Keep up the good work. And I'm looking forward to victory. So just keep doing what you're doing. You've done an amazing job on the campaign trail. And even prior to that, you've served our communities faithfully. So again, thank you for joining us this evening. Good night.
Thank you and good night.
If you're ready for meaningful transformational work, the children in your community are ready for you too. Apply for a career in childcare today.
Log on to childcarecareers.org to learn more.
Haïtien qui a vivre dans Oakland Park. Le arrivé pour nous gagner Haïtien comme city commissionnaire. Mardi qui a 8 novembre 2022. Nous allons voter Dr. Kidney Maxime. Il a plus de 40 ans depuis la vivre dans Oakland Park. Il a besoin de douleur nous. Gâteau à séparer, nous pas connaît. Nous pas de représentant. Problème caille dans nous. Si nous ne pas capable de joindre aide pour aller dans le collège. Nous nous qui maman, nous papa, nous qui fin grand monde, nous pas capable de joindre aide pour yo. Agenda Dr. Kidney Maxime non, c'est taper dans sauce. Votez Dr. Kidney Maxime pour nous capable de joindre un changement. Nous payons taxes même à tout le monde. Yo humilié nous en bas coup de zago cheval dans le canal de l'Omanan. Tout le monde est de l'eau dans les yeux. Yo pas capable de tirer fierté 1804 noirs. Depuis nous voter bonheur, nous prenons faire tout cadre de vote tourner zago cheval pour nous piler autour. Mardi qui a 8 novembre 2022, nous allons voter Dr. Kidney Maxime. Pour information, appelez au 954 397 40 40.
Political advertising paid and approved by Dr. Kidney Maxime.
We are back, and as we approach the end of the show, what an informative segment we had with Naomi. But I just want to say that elections do have consequences. And it is my hope that each and every one of you will take the time to vote. The Florida Commissioner of Agriculture, as you've heard, is responsible for so many things that are part of our day-to-day lives. You know, when you think about healthy food, when you think about consumer affairs, when you think about gun control and more, many of them fall under the jurisdiction of the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture. So that's one seat. I also encourage you to learn more about other candidates, such as the chief financial officers and other members of the governor's cabinet, because those are some of the more unique and specialized positions that form the cabinet, and they all have votes. You know, when the governor meets with his cabinet, they all can vote on issues that affect us. So I cannot tell you who to vote for. However, I urge you to do your homework and be sure to cast a vote for the right person. You can vote by mail, you can do early voting, and you can vote on election day, which this year is on November 8th. So please do your civic duties. Vote as if your life depends on it. In the meantime, don't forget to check us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on our YouTube channel under The GRN Show. Please like, share, and follow us. Until next time, good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good evening. Thanks again.
If you're ready for meaningful transformational work, the children in your community are ready for you too. Apply for a career in childcare today.
Log on to childcarecareers.org to learn more.